Throughout the past 24 hours, we've been bringing you stories about veterans through a series called Charlie Foxtrot. It focuses on suicide in the military and the new legislation that may help veterans who've been denied benefits. WZZM 13's Sarah Sell joins us now with more.
That's right. The series is called Charlie Foxtrot for a reason. Those of you in the military know what that means. In this case, it's referring to those hundreds of thousands of veterans who are being denied benefits. The system has failed some of you, but there is hope.
Seeing your friends die and seeing carnage everywhere. When human beings are hunting other human beings, you don't come back the same.
These are individuals who have served their country. We need to stand behind them.
I'm 100% PTSD. Combat changes a person tremendously. Incredible.
For over 40 years, 68-year-old Ron Van Beek tried to forget the Vietnam War, but the images never went away.
For a combat veteran, it's the sleepless nights and the dreaming in the night and the nightmares. This one here's me.
Van Beek was a sergeant in the 5th Infantry. He remembers the day several men in his group were killed, including his two best friends. When all hope was lost, they were saved by a type of aircraft nicknamed Puff the Magic Dragon.
That mighty curtain of red fire descended around us a few feet in front of our foxholes and beat back the human wave attack.
Van Beek survived and was honorably discharged in 1970. When you came back home, what was it like?
It was terrible.
Van Beek struggled mentally, but had a successful career. He got married
43 years ago
and raised a family. He knows others haven't been so lucky.
How is it now today that we have 22 veterans per day putting a gun to their head and pulling the trigger, putting their own bullet in their head?
Many of them are Vietnam veterans. But there's also been a dramatic rise in veterans who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. Some say increased awareness will help diagnose potential problems earlier.
We have learned a great deal in recent years about PTSD, traumatic brain injuries.
Senator Gary Peters says invisible injuries often go undiagnosed. It can lead to bad behavior, suicide attempts, and a less than honorable discharge. When that happens, the person is denied veterans' benefits. Peters often tells the story of a veteran from West Michigan.
Later, he went back to the VA. The VA said, you have PTSD, traumatic brain injury. They began treatment, and then they looked at his record and they said, because you have less than an honorable discharge, we can't treat you any longer. And then his life continued to spin downward. He spent time as a homeless veteran. Simply unacceptable.
Last year, Senator Peters introduced legislation called Fairness for Veterans.
The legislation gives a review process for that veteran to go back and have that discharge reevaluated.
Senator Peters believes some of the cases will lead to a credible diagnosis of PTSD. Not all are going to fall into this category. Is that why there's a review process?
That's right. There has to be a review process. That's not all cases, but we think it's a very large number.
The Veterans Administration estimates 11 to 20% of modern veterans have PTSD each year, and 20 former service members die each day by suicide. We
have to treat this with the seriousness that it deserves, and we have to make sure as a country that we are always standing behind our men and women who go into harm's way.
Any place out of Vietnam was a good day.
For Ron Van Beek, PTSD and suicide is an issue he speaks about often as a chaplain with the Army.
We must turn that culture of death around.
But even after counseling others and being at peace with his own service, Ron still has nightmares.
I'm on the plane going back to Vietnam, and I'm trying to explain to the officers, I've been there. I don't have to go back. And they say, yes, you do. And I wake up as the plane lands.
And that bipartisan legislation is expected to be taken up by Congress when it returns to session later this month. You can watch the entire docuseries on WZZM 13/Charlie Foxtrot. Online, you can see the entire investigation, find support resources for veterans in need, and anyone who feels compelled can join the growing list of people calling on Congress to pass the Fairness for Veterans